What's up, everybody? I'm here today with Holly Baxter, fitness professional, figure competitor, nutrition expert, and now competitive powerlifter. Yeah. So just had a powerlifting competition. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a little bit. I know you just recently have been embarking on a reverse dieting process, and a lot of people are confused by what that means. Like, what is reverse dieting? Why did you start that? What's that process look like?
Okay. Basically, reverse dieting is a nutritional concept that repairs your metabolism. The goal is to be able to get your calories up as high as possible and kind of get your metabolism to adapt to higher intakes. So a lot of people will kind of come to us for coaching, and they're wanting to lose body fat, but they're having a really hard time getting that last little bit of body fat off, and they might already be in a really metabolically compromised position. So just to give you an example, somebody might already be training, 10 to 12 hours a week, which is, in my opinion, that's a lot of time away from your family, from your work, from your social life. And they're also really cutting it at extremes as far as their diet goes. So for a female, of my size, they might be taking in already 1,100 calories. Then they're like, but why am I not losing body fat? I'm still 16%. I want to get to 10%. In these situations, you don't really have anywhere to go. Like, all I can say to you is, well, eat less. And the problem with that is, like, you're already at these really restrictive intakes and you're getting all this metabolic adaptation, your body's slowing down to compensate for that reduced energy intake. And there just isn't really anywhere to go. So the reverse diet is helping to repair or to recover your metabolism so that you can eat more and obviously feel a lot better so far as your strength goes.
So let me get this straight. So when you say repair metabolism or damage metabolism, what you're referring to is, and when you say metabolic adaptation, what you're talking about is when someone's metabolism is slow. They're just not burning a lot of calories. You use the example of a female eating 1,100 calories a day, even though they're working out 10 to 12 hours a week, which that's a terrible position to be in, very hard to maintain, and then God forbid you stop or reduce your activity or whatever.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there's this rapid weight gain. So we see this a lot with competitors, but even just general population as well, like women that have been on, yo-yo diets. They'll do a 12-week challenge or something like this, and they're on low calories for a little bit of time, but as soon as they stop that restrictive intake or they reduce their training volumes, all of a sudden their weight regains and they're back to where they started or worse. So we want to get people kind of out of this habit of yo-yo dieting where they're causing their metabolism to adapt. So to give you a bit of an idea, I guess, is if you're wondering where your metabolism is, what I would consider normal, and this is if you're training a normal amount or training volumes, is somewhere maybe between 5 to 7 sessions per week, 30 to 40 calories per kilogram of lean body mass is what I would consider normal. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if you just ask that in isolation, you don't know what someone's training background is, well, then that's a whole nother ballgame, because this person might be doing like 30 hours a week if they're a triathlon athlete or something like that, then that wouldn't be good. They'd need to be having much higher calories. But for the normal person who's training, 5 to 6 times a week perhaps, that's a really good kind of starting point to see where you're at. But a lot of these people are getting down, at the end of a competition or a fat loss diet, where they're on less than 20 calories per kilogram of lean body mass, and it's just ridiculous.
So what you're saying is, when you do these hard diets or these long diets, your metabolism adapts and slows down to become more efficient with calories.
Yeah.
This is like a survival mechanism.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They've done studies. They actually did a study on hunter-gatherers, modern hunter-gatherers, and the scientists went in some very sophisticated testing, tested their basal metabolic rate, how many calories they were burning on a regular basis, and they thought that they would see that these people burned lots of calories, considering they were so active.
Yeah.
In reality, what they found was that they weren't burning that many more calories than the average Westerner who doesn't have nearly as much activity because your metabolism adapted.
Well, that's it. Your resting energy expenditure decreases, and a lot of this is probably due to your NEAT, your non-exercise resting, non-exercise activities. So, you know, typically day to day, you might be walking around, you're climbing stairs, your job, you're fidgeting. You know, like a lot of the time, if I'm standing and I'm talking, I'm shifting my body to side. I'm burning calories when I do this. All these things slow down to accommodate for that decrease in calories. So,
But there's a lot of unknown too. Like we don't quite know why the metabolism or how it adapts. Because you can have someone with the same amount of muscle, like they could keep the same amount of muscle, or maybe build a little bit of muscle. But if they reverse diet correctly, their metabolism gets much faster, if you will, than what you can account for with lean body mass. How about you? You've been reverse dieting now, I think, for a little while. Where did you start and where are you at now? And what does your activity look like?
Okay, cool. So I finished a fat loss diet about 11 weeks ago now, and my calories were pretty shitty. I'm going to say they were about 1,400. And I was exercising probably six times a week for weights. And then to supplement that, I was doing a little bit of cardio, not because it was trying to maintain my weight intentionally. It's just I really enjoyed high intensity training. So I'd be doing like, I suppose CrossFit style workouts is something that I really enjoy, like kettlebells, sandbags, lunging, running around. I'm pretty active. I like that kind of stuff. Or spin classes. I was also doing a lot of that too. So overall, I was probably doing about 10 hours of exercise a week between weights and my high intensity activity cardio. In the 10 weeks that or 11 weeks I've been reverse dieting, I am exactly the same weight, within a 400 gram, buffer. So
no change in body weight.
No change in body weight. And I'm now up to 2,100 calories. So yeah, I mean.
And what about activity? Has it changed?
My activity has decreased.
Because you're training for powerlifting.
Yeah, as you mentioned. So I was doing bodybuilding style programming at the end of this fat loss diet, and just around that time was when I really needed to start knuckling down for this powerlifting meet. And I got down to maybe 3 weight training sessions a week and low intensity, steady state cardio instead of my high intensity. So yeah, my training volumes have decreased significantly.
Yeah, one thing that I like to do with clients who are going through this process is I change the stimulus to focus on strength, because that seems to promote a metabolic adaptation that we want. It seems to promote a faster metabolism if you just train for strength versus if you just train for lots of endurance. And then slowly work the calories up. How slow or what did that process look like over that 11-week period? How often would you bump up your calories, or what did that look like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I did this really conservatively. So my goal when I started this was to maintain my weight as close to my starting weight as possible, but to see where I can get to. What is my calorie ceiling at this body weight? And so far I haven't got to that yet. I don't know what it will be, but I definitely took a conservative approach. So by conservative, I kind of set the maximum at around 0.2% of my body weight increase per week. That's an allowable.
Okay.
If I don't hit that, that's great, and I haven't yet. But there's certainly other ways that you can do the reverse diet as well. I mean, a more moderate approach might be somewhere between like 0.2 to 0.6% of your body weight increase allowable.
I see. So take your body weight, multiply it times that. Yep. That's the percent, or that's the amount you would
I'll allow each week. It's not guaranteed, and some people you might exceed that some weeks. Just depends on how you respond. But the idea is to hit your calories to the point where you can kind of keep it under wraps, I guess, and then you could do an aggressive reverse diet where if you're not so concerned about keeping your body weight at a certain point, it's more about you want to improve your metabolism and do it quickly. You can take a more aggressive approach, and I usually try and max out at about 1.2% of your total weight per week for something like that. But
now, I think a lot of people watching would like to have a faster metabolism, or at least be able to eat more and look the same, or eat more and get leaner, which I think is also possible with an approach like this. How did you feel going through this process? In other words, did you notice any changes in energy and mood because now you're able to consume more calories and stay the same way, or was everything else, was it the same?
I feel a lot more relaxed, I guess, for anybody that's done competition dieting or just a dieting phase for any extended period of time, it's pretty rough. Like if your calories are anything under 30 per kilogram lean body mass, I think that's really difficult to adhere to. Like I'm somebody that enjoys food. I like being social. I like to have a drink. I like to eat food, especially sweets. I'm such a sweet tooth. So it just like 1,400 calories for me was just shit. So I think my mood overall has improved just because I have this newfound flexibility. I can eat what I want.
Excellent.
Like I'm not having to go, shit, am I going to go over my carb target? Am I going to go over, like, I just have this, wider variety of food intake now. So that's been really good. My energy levels were not terrible, I don't think, when I was down around that lower end, but I guess my strength has definitely seen a huge.
Yeah, you've been training for powerlifting too.
Yeah, my strength has improved.
I think would you deadlift 300 pounds?
Yeah, just over in competition.
That's very impressive. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about the applications for people? Because sometimes I'll get clients who, and it's more often than not women, but I do get this with men, where they come to me, they've dieted so many times. Many of them were ex-competitors or competitors, so they've done shows over and over again. But they come to me and they want to lose 15 pounds, but they're already eating like 1,100 calories, and they don't know what to do. What about the applications for people like that to get them out of that space so that we can start burning body fat again? Is reverse dieting something that would benefit them?
Yes, absolutely. I think in that kind of situation, it's kind of the only option. But I think for women especially, it's a balance or a fine line of kind of helping them with their being comfortable in their skin. Like someone on those kind of calories could still be very overweight and consuming very little. So if you said to them, hey, we're not going to do any body fat loss work with you right now, like that could be a very daunting and scary experience for somebody that is really uncomfortable with
I'm glad
their
you
weight.
said that. So you can literally tell, because I would tell people this, like, okay, I'm looking at your calories, they're really low. Your metabolism is very, very slow. It's going to take us about 6 months to a year before we even approach weight loss, because what we're trying to do is get your metabolism to amp up a little bit. That can be a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
But long term.
Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to put aside your short-term goals and think about, well, there's there's many more years ahead before, that I've got to live. So really, in the grand scheme of things, sacrificing 6 months to correct your metabolism is a small price to pay when you might have another 10, 20 years of being somebody that is going to be doing fitness, active, trying to be social, all those kind of things. So, it's a hard conversation, but sometimes it's the conversation that needs to be had.
Excellent. Yeah. So if someone's watching right now and they want some tangibles, like, okay, how do I start with this reverse diet process? What are some easy ways they can kind of get going with this? You talked about increasing the calories slowly, changing the activity level. Like, what does that look like specifically?
I would first work out what your maintenance calories are. If you simply record your intakes for a couple of weeks, just eating the way you normally do, this is if you don't know what your macros are. Calculate your daily intakes and work out an average over those 2 weeks just to work out where you are, what are the calories that maintain your current body weight as of now. And then if you're concerned about gaining body fat, definitely take the conservative approach. So work out what you want to gain in the period of time that you're going to reverse diet for, and then increase so that you're not blowing out that weight range. I think maybe 100 to 150 calories might be a good starting point, adding every week. And just see how your weight goes. And
I would add, combine that with a good strength training type program.
Absolutely.
That does send the signal to adapt with strength, which tends to amplify your metabolism versus endurance.
Yep, strength program, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Look, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll visit periodically to see if I can answer them for you. Also, subscribe to this channel. We post new videos all the time.